Hey all, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Peace and blessings. We're on another episode of Abrogation versus Affirmation. It- This is part 6 of our series of this amazing debate review. So please put your ideas and thoughts in the chat, and we're going to have an interesting and smooth ride ahead. All right, let's begin.
Discussion, and then we tried to kick it over to Rain and Issa. I do want to this time try to kick it over to Issa and Rain, letting David have the last.
But I'm just saying, you can't say, oh, he revealed the Quran because all the other scriptures have been corrupted. No, he revealed the Quran because all the other scriptures were in a different language. That's what he says. And if you're saying he's wrong, then that's I'm wondering if you're a Muslim.
I mean, you have to go to chapter 7.
Last time I think we gave Junior. We let you have the last word on your guys' discussion, and then we tried to kick it over to Rain and Issa. I do want to this time try to kick it over to Issa and Rain, letting David have the last word, and we can come back to it, Junior.
I'm good. Let them talk. Yeah.
But Rain and Issa.
I spoke, so let's let Rain. If you want to speak, Rain, please. I've spoken a few.
So I'm just gonna state my perspective, right? Take it for what it is. Leave it if you don't agree. That's fine. The Quran fundamentally encourages familiarity with previous scriptures, right? I think that this is irrefutable. If you are in doubt, ask those who have been reading the scripture before you, verse 1094, right? This affirms that, in fact, reading the Bible not as equal authority, but as a historical artifact to appreciate how the Quran perfectly protects the truth. Muslims can study it. This is while rejecting the corruptions of the Holy Bible, right? Fundamentally, I will speak on my own perspective. I believe the Quran is indeed, also you can pretty much articulate this and back this up with documentation, that the Quran is the most unaltered of the 3 primary holy books, right? I think that this is irrefutable. Ultimately, your position crumbles under much scrutiny, as the Quran literally stands as the immutable word of Allah, right? The Bible is quite plagued. I will confidently say that all 3 holy books are.
Oh boy, that's a hard one. That is a hard one. It's a very hard kind of position to take or to make. What we're hearing that, Rain is telling us that the Bible is plagued with issues. And I think the difficulty is we have to use the same standard of critique. As an academic, this is a very important thing for me, is we need to be consistent. So if you're going to critique the Bible, you must hold the same standard that you would for the Quran. And I think that this is the issue that we see in a lot of these debates. We want to hear that, the Quran is immutable, it is immutable, it is perfect, beyond compare, and the Bible is this really corrupted, plagued text. Is this a fair, is this an honest, is this a sincere approach? I would challenge this. I think this needs to be deeply, this position needs to be deconstructed, and it needs to be engaged with honesty.
Riddled with contradictions, but those contradictions oftentimes are based on personal interpretation, right? I'm going to interpret a verse differently than you guys are going to interpret a verse, right? And that goes for whatever holy book you've read. I've read all 3, right? For me, at least. I've read the Torah, I've read the King James version of the Holy Bible. I've also read the Quran, right?
So this is a really interesting thing. And I think this is an important thing in understanding theology. What is he referring to as the Holy Bible? He's referring to the Gospel. And see, this is what people need to understand. There's Tanakh, which is Torah, which is the 5 books, Chumash, Torah to it's Genesis to Deuteronomy, Genesis to Deuteronomy, which would be the Torah, the 5 books, and then Genesis to Malachi or Malachi is your entire Hebrew canon. However, if you take the Catholic canon, which is actually very useful because it gives us a lot of extra Hebraic texts. You have Judith, Tobit, you have the Maccabees, you have all these other texts that, as a person who's really interested in studying Jewish history, the Catholics have preserved these Jewish texts because they are Jewish texts. It is canon for the Catholic corpus, but what's interesting is it's a preservation of Hebraic texts. I think all of these Hebraic texts have value, and even the ones that are considered apocryphal, like, you have the Targums, you have the story about, you have the narrative about Lilith. All of these things are really interesting because it gives us a holistic kind of point of view, which I think is critical and crucial. So, yes. That's what I feel. And so I think it's important to be honest and scholarly. Yes. And we will continue.
English, not Arabic. I'm not a perfect scholar, right? I can admit that. I would hope that all of you gentlemen here can also admit that you are not perfect scholars. We come from positions based on information that we intake, and we speak on the information that we have available to us based on our memories and our perspectives and positions on said information, right? Fundamentally speaking, the Quran is the most unaltered holy text of the holy texts. This, again, applies to every single holy book. I do not believe that that is a point that can be argued correctly on your behalf, right? So again, affirmation versus what? I can't even remember the other word. It's affirmation versus some other shit. I can't remember. Abrogation. Yeah, it's again. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just. I
do have to say I appreciate Rain because he's his own down-to-earth, real perspective of what he feels about Islamic tradition, which I think is good. I think it's an important, critical piece to bring his own kind of perspective, and he's showcasing what he believes about this. And I think it's what a lot of people believe, which is unfortunately problematic. This kind of narrative of the Bible being plagued is a big problem, because if that position is true, then what is the foundation the Quran stands upon? If you say it's corrupt, then who are these Israelite prophets? Who is the big JC? Who are these? What is the relevance? The relevance is within these texts. You must have these texts. It's like saying, hey, I want a house without a floor. Islam can't exist without these texts. And then doing a grift of saying, well, I'm just going to take what I like and disregard what I don't like. Well, then if you do that position, progressive Muslims have the right to do that too. They can cherry pick stuff. And I think most people are cherry picking religion anyway. The conservative is also cherry picking, because what they're doing is they're saying, well, I want Islam to be very exclusivist. I want it to be my position. I want it to be, only my way or the highway. Well, unfortunately, the Quran does not have that position completely. There are passages, as we explored in our last episode, that have taken a more conservative, exclusivist perspective. However, there are ones that take a very more open-minded, pluralistic, and potentially perennialist perspective. So which is it? You can't, the conservative and cannot, or I'll say the regressive cannot attack the progressive by saying, hey, these verses exist and I'm going to make the other verses fit what I want it to be, and then critique the progressive for doing the same, where they're like, we're going to mitigate these more exclusivist verses to fit our narrative. And this is how it is in religion in general. We should just be aware of that.
Appreciated the conversation. Very, very good. Surah Al-Araf, say, O mankind, indeed I am the messenger of Allah to you all. This is direct and universal, geez. Not yeah, it's pretty direct, right? Yeah.
I actually agree with you, Sarah. I think that's a very important point that you're making. Yeah, I actually am very pro-Catholic Second Vatican after with the what is it? It's Atate. Let me tell you what it is. Nostra Aetate. That's what it is. So my advisor was a Catholic professor who taught dialogue. So that's I'm a part of those kind of circles, very progressive dialogue, bringing people together, unification type of spaces of people of different paths and stuff like that. So Hans Kung, I took a whole class on modern Catholicism, and I did my final paper on the Sword of Constantine. So yes, there were difficulties in history throughout all different spaces, but I'm kind of aligned with communities that are interested in unity and bringing people together, and that's my particular space. So that's like my kind of religious calling. I'm very interested in that kind of space of, I think it's okay. I do a lot of interfaith, and I mean like honest interfaith, not like one person trying to defeat the other, but hey, people have different walks of life, and that's okay. We don't need to destroy one person's point of view to bring another person's point of view. I'm actually very I question these kind of people who are like, let's make everyone just the same religion. Because first of all, you will never be always the same. You're going to have different points of view. But I think it's good to have diversity. I think we should have different points of view, and I don't think everyone should be forced into one point of view. Because what does that bring us? That brings us into a 1984 dystopic reality where everyone has to follow the one unified government, the one unified religion. That's extremely dangerous. I think it's much better to have people with differing views. And I think we have to be very careful of this salvific language where people are like, who is going to be saved? Who is not going to be saved? I think that this doesn't matter. We don't know, and it's not important. What's important is that we need to try to live noble, good lives right now in this life here. Instead of thinking about what's happening tomorrow, we need to live right now. And I'm going to share a little parable on this, a little story. There was once a woman who lived in a space of kind of poverty, but she had dreams of becoming, having a great life. And so what she did is she had a little chicken coop, and she had these eggs, and she had this vision of what would happen. She said, oh, I'm going to sell these chicken eggs, and I'm going to get a nice little blouse, and then I'm going to attract a very wealthy husband, and then I'm going to marry this wealthy husband, and I'm going to live in a nice palace, and then I'm going to have nice, beautiful kids, and then I'm just going to live this really beautiful, wonderful life. And then what happens is during this daydreaming, her eggs fall, and everything just collapses. All those dreams of grandeur of the future collapse. So don't count your chickens until they hatch. That's the big thing. So it's really important to, be here now. I'm very much, there was a great teacher, his name is Ram Dass. He has a book called Be Here Now. I come from I have origins in the hippie era. I'm sure you could probably tell that already. His name was Richard Alpert, and he studied the effects of LSD. He was a Jewish guy who went to India, part of the whole kind of that kind of movement, Jewish people interested in South Asia. So I guess I'm a kind of product of that. But yeah, that's that was the situation. He was a great sage, and I think that that's a good way of being. We need to be here now. We can't live tomorrow. We got to live right in this moment right now. And that can be really difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people want to believe, they want, palaces, they want, beautiful things, they want this, they want that. Their whole life is just a journey of wanting, desire, which is it's important to look at Buddhist theology when it comes to that. There's this thing called dukkha. It's a Pali word that means suffering. And I think we as people, we have this craving and desire, and we just want more and more and more stuff. We want more and more things because that will make us happy. This thing will make us happy. We got to pursue that next thing, and that will make us happy. And I don't think that's a helpful way of life. And I think being this kind of hyper judgmental kind of narrative is just a dangerous one, you know. So that's what's important. We need to live our life and be the best person we can be, instead of just saying, "Hey, everybody, be like me." I'm like, we don't want. That's what's so great about a place like the United States and America. And I think some people, they don't understand that. They don't understand what real freedom is about. They're just like, I want everyone to be like me. And it's so funny. I go on certain places and they're like, why don't you just become like me? And then your life will be better. Say what I say. Think the way I think. And you will be great. And I'm like, yeah, I think, I'm not saying I'm great or special or anything, but what does make me special is because I am who I am. I'm not that other person. So if I become that other person, I won't be me. So why should I be that other person? You know, they have their own story. I have my story, you know, and I think there's this, it's tribalism. It's like the same thing with like athletics. People are like, I'm obsessed with this team. I want this sport. I believe in this thing and I have to worship this team. And I'm like, and if you're not, so I'm going to tell you another funny story before we go back in, because I think I can share little stories with you. I got this very nice hat. It was, I used to wear a lot of, they called them fitted hats. So I used to love hats. That's what I would wear all the time. I wouldn't wear beanies. I would wear these baseball hats. So I found this very nice New York Yankees hat, and I'm a Philadelphian. And I wore it to my chemistry class, and everyone got so angry and so upset. And I'm like, why are people upset? It's a very nice hat. I have this very nice New York Yankees hat. And I'm like, I'm in the East Coast, and I don't have any problem with New York. I like New York. I like New Jersey. I mean, this is my kind of neck of the wood. I don't have any problem with these places, but I'm not a part of the sports religion. So it was kind of shocking because I'm not in the sports religion. And I found out that being not in the sports religion, you face a consequence when you don't follow the rules of the sports religion. So the sports religion of Philadelphia was you have to wear Philadelphia attire. You can't wear New York attire because then you're like kind of bad, you know? Like to me, I'll wear a jersey from New York. I'll wear a New York Yankees jersey or Giants or whatever. I don't care. These things don't bother me. I have no problem with representing, having a connection to New York. Like it doesn't, I don't have this religious affiliation in the same way. But there are people who have a religious affiliation to where what state they're from. And that's the same kind of thing that you see in religious spaces. You have to have this extreme affiliation or you're bad. You need to be condemned. You need to be ridiculed. And I see it a lot. And it's disheartening. And I don't think that's a great place to live, where their whole goal of people is just to make you become like them instead of allowing them to be themselves, you know? But that's my feelings on that. We'll go back.
I'm ready for Q&A at this point. Obviously, Issa, I'd love to hear from you.
We destroyed these people, bro. They're cooked. They're trying to say that the Quran didn't come for all mankind.
No, I agree. I'm in zero aspect of disagreement. Right, but I've enjoyed the conversation. I just want to state that, right? I appreciate hearing.
Bro, we won, bro.
All right,
first time David
might as well go over to David and Issa.
Do you mind if I comment? So this is another important thing. We're dealing with Islamic sources. My partner and I are dealing with the Islamic sources.
We're dealing with the Islamic sources. We're going back to it again. We're dealing with the Islamic sources. I love this. This is so much like me. I love that. I'm so happy I did this. It's so funny to hear it again. I have to say I'm a little proud of myself for this kind of maneuver. I like this kind of rhetoric.
Sources say these texts are affirmed. So just claiming they're corrupted hurts your position. It doesn't hurt our position. Making attacks, it's shooting yourself in the foot. You're shooting yourself in the foot.
Which Islamic scholar affirms that?
Oh my God! We're showing what the sources say. I love this scene. They can't let us speak. We're very quiet. We don't interrupt. And look, because this is the part. This is where I'm hitting the nail on the head. They don't like this. They don't like this because I'm speaking truth to power. Quoting Amber Heard, speaking truth to power here. This is speaking truth to power here.
The Torah and the Bible that you have today.
It doesn't.
It's so funny that I can't speak. I'm not allowed to speak. We get to hear about how there's a plague on the Bible, which there's not, obviously. It doesn't matter if you agree with these texts. The thing is, from my point of view, I don't care about structural integrity. I don't care if it's preserved. I care about, does this message help people become better human beings? That's what I care about. I could care less about, how was it preserved over and over and over again. And it's so weird that this is a part of these particular people's theology. They need the text to be preserved to make it true. Then the problem arises, Harry Potter is preserved, Hunger Games is preserved. You could take any young adult novel, that's preserved. You know what I mean? So, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't, for someone like me, I'm not impressed by that. If something is preserved, it says, hey, hurt people, steal people's stuff, take people's lives and do whatever you want to get power, do it. I would be like, I don't care if that's perfectly preserved. That's bad things that are perfectly preserved. This is the problem that people are not understanding. It's the message that matters, not the preservation. If the message teaches you to be a good human, that's what you should focus on. But that's my particular theology. So you're learning more about what I believe. I don't believe this. I could care less about this. This means nothing to me. These arguments don't prove goodness. They don't prove how we can become good. And we all make mistakes. We're all flawed as human beings. We make mistakes and we need to grow. But I want something that uplifts me. I don't care if the thing is preserved. I don't care if, every letter is exactly the same. These things don't matter to me.
It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The point
does matter.
It does.
Brother,
You can't say it doesn't matter.
Is all I'm asking
You're trying
for.
to.
Please,
You're trying to
bro.
defend.
Hold on. I just want to give Do you feel like you were heard?
This is fascinating. I love this debate because it showcases when you're bringing out the truth, they don't want to hear the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear compassion. Just to be consistent with my idea. I'm like, this is my problem. This is where our theologies could never align. His theology is if my narrative, whatever it takes to support the narrative, that's the truth. My narrative is, I'm interested in what the truth is beyond whatever the narrative is. So I'm interested in truth, he's interested in narrative. The story is what matters. I have to preserve this narrative that I've been indoctrinated in, and I have to believe in that narrative more than what is truth. So this is, we're not going to agree on these kinds of things. We have just very different outlooks on the world. We just don't agree on these types of things.
It's okay. So yeah, we
concede this if you list one scholar.
We do have scholars. We have early classical scholars agree with our position anyway. They believe in they believe that there is corruption.
List one scholar, bro.
Junior, he's mid-sentence.
Oh boy. I know it's tough, brother. No, it's tough. The thing is, the classical scholars, we can get into that later, but that's not the point that I'm making right now. We could discuss that soon. But classical scholars believed
it's irrelevant. We don't need to discuss that.
I do want to give Issa a chance to
finish. Wow, unbelievable. They believe in the corruption of the interpretation. So we talked about this earlier about tahrif. So, you have several types of tahrif. So the classical scholars took the position of the tahrif of interpretation versus the textual tahrif. So we have no evidence until like Ibn Hazm, much later on, like in the 11th century, where we start to see this concept of textual corruption. So the idea is there's corruption of the interpretation. And again, we engaged all these verses earlier on. I'm surprised that we didn't really have any kind of communication of any of the verses that we quoted earlier on in our opening. But this is the big crux here too. This is the creeds of faith. There's belief in Allah, belief in the angels, the belief in the books, not phantom scriptures, not texts that originally came and then were corrupted. We believe in science. We believe in academic understanding. So if you're going to say that, this is Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, this is Sunni creed. So if you want to claim that these books have been corrupted and you want to claim a scholar, that hurts you. That doesn't hurt us. This is a classical.
One scholar that says,
I love this. I love this. I've already challenged it. I said, if you think that the scholar is more important than what the creed is, I said, fine. You're worshiping a scholar. You're not worshiping the creed. You're not following the creed, I should say. You're not following the creed. You're worshiping a scholar. The point is that the scholars don't matter. Look at what it says. It says right there, believing in the books of Allah. What are the books of Allah for a Sunni Muslim? Torah, Zabur, Injil, Furqan, which is like the Quran, the criterion. The Quran has the Furqan, which is a criterion, as well as the summarizations of the Israelite texts, right? So, yes. Just give me 1 second. We're gonna put it back in.
That the books are.
So the point
one
is,
scholar. You cannot list one scholar.
I can, but I'm countering the position.
I will concede if you list one scholar.
All right.
One scholar, and I will concede. Right. You don't have to talk. Just say the name of the scholar. One name. That's it.
I want to give Isa
one name of a scholar.
But if you just keep yelling one scholar, we can't hear Isa at all. Go ahead, Isa.
So the point is, I'm saying it doesn't even matter about one scholar, because the point is, this is the creed. The creed is you have to believe in books. The creed is not, well, these are phantom texts. So I'm saying it's even irrelevant. We can go into the classical scholars. That's fine. But the point is, we're discussing this at this moment in time. So that's the thing. Engage this point. That's the point. Let me stop sharing.
I just gotta say, I love this. Name one scholar. It has nothing to do with actually engaging what I said. It's name one scholar. Because the point is, the haq is hard to deal with. Hard-hitting haq, the haq is truth in Arabic. Hard-hitting haq is very difficult to deal with here. This is Islamic doctrine. This is the core of any Islamic doctrine. So you have to do distortion of what the Quran is saying in order to push this agenda. Now, what that means, you can go deeper and try to figure out pulling the whole narrative together and figuring out what the narrative means as a holistic kind of perspective. That's fine. We can do that. But the name one scholar is wild. And and his favorite line for the Jewish people in the audience, who just love to hear what he said. All the Jews are going to hell. They're all going to hell. The Jews are going to hell. That was his last whole thing. And he's like, I want you to know this. And in his last debate about Hamas versus Israel, he took the position that, it's not all Jews. It's just Zionists. But then the fold is coming off. It isn't about Zionists. It's about all Jews. You think the Natura Kartai are treated good? The Natura Kartai are great people and wonderful? They're going to hell too. It's like, it's unbelievable. Or progressive Jews, they're going to hell too. All the Jews are going to hell. Jews who care about Palestine, they're going to hell too. It's like, where is it? What is your belief? Is your belief that you care about Jewish people? Maybe Jewish people support Palestine? Or do you not care about Jewish people? And I think this debate really revealed what he feels about Jewish people. So he just wants all the Jews to go to hell. And I'm like, Jewish people, just to give you a little basic theology lesson on this, Jewish people don't have that kind of narrative hell. What hell would be for a Jewish person is to be separate from Hashem, to be separate from God. That's what hell is. It's not this literal lake of fire that you burn in. That is not what hell is. So, it's just very different. It's not the same thing. It's not burning in a molten lake, and heaven isn't where you have lots of ladies, where a guy, oh my God, it's so crazy. I don't know. I've never even thought about this. And I want to posit this a little further. What about if you're an otaku guy? Do you get to have anime waifus? Is that the kind of position that you get to have all the anime character women that you want? Oh my God! Is that what the houris are? The anime women? Oh, you get anime women in paradise? That to me is just too funny. That idea. Like this is like, because I think some people probably do believe that, because a lot of these like Salafi people are into anime. So I mean, I'm wondering if in their Islamic theology, do they believe that they're going to get anime waifus? You know, that they're going to get these very kind of attractive looking anime. It's so crazy. Anime women in getting attractive anime women in paradise. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think that those are pretty. The Muslim incel man who's interested in anime waifus in paradise. That's a story in of itself. That's a wild story. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Let's go back.
Can now that you don't have it in front of you, can you list the 6 articles of faith again?
Here's the exam. This is called Muslim trivia time. This is what you see a lot of these so-called Muslim debaters do, is that they give a trivia examination. They're like, I saw our good friend Muslim Lantern debate logic on this, and he's like, can you tell me who the first schools of thought are? Can you tell me the first schools of thought? Can you? And then Avery's like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this theology here. Can you tell me about the theology? And he's like, first schools of thought. Tell me their names. And then he talked to Jay Dyer. Can you tell me about the 5 reads of a Mu'tazilite? Can you tell me this? And I'm like, can you tell me about the Mukallamat? And I'm like, that's not the point here. These are red herrings. They're diversions. It is nothing to do with the engagement. And giving trivias, to an honest person, it's just a dishonest tactic. You're giving trivia exams. And I'm like, if the same trivia stuff gets thrown back at you, you're going to fail them. So it's like, this is ridiculous. And I'm like, I'm not entertaining trivia. Of course I can do this, but this is trivia, you know? How would I know this stuff if I didn't look it up? I mean, how would I know how to look it up if I didn't even know what the stuff was? I have to know the stuff in order to look it up. I already have the knowledge of it, and I was showcasing it. That's what the point is. Obviously, I know what these things are. And the point is, it doesn't even matter about the 6 creeds of faith. There's only the 6 like pillars of faith. It's only the one pillar of faith that we're actually interested in, which is the belief in the kitab, the books. Name one scholar.
Close the tab. Close the tab. Don't open it again.
So I don't understand why this even matters.
Because you're bringing up something that you don't as your proof. So you don't even know this the heart. You don't even know the 6 articles of faith.
So what you're doing is you're doing a straw man. This is a red herring. This is
it is. It's all of that. The thing is, you're saying I don't actually. It's really, like I said before, it's an ad hominem attack. You're saying I'm not qualified to talk about this because I don't actually have real knowledge on these things. And it's a deflection from, it's really a red herring. It's a deflection from what is actually being engaged. The straw man that is being built is that I'm making a particular argument and he's creating this other argument that is needing to be deconstructed. But I would really say strong, really on a really strong level, it's a red herring from what we're actually doing.
This is a red herring. The point is, I brought up a point, engage the point. It doesn't matter what my knowledge.
That's why I kind of auto-corrected from that, because I'm like, there is a straw man element, but it really is a red herring more than it is a straw man.
Of this is anyway. Of course, I can do it.
I will think you want. I will take. So who?
Ladies in the chat, your take off his clothes. Are you interested in that, ladies? What Junior just offered? That if I name, it's good I'm not naming one scholar, right? Because he might take off his clothes, and I don't think any of you want to see him without his clothes on. And I would say, gentlemen in the chat probably don't want to see it either.
Who is verifying your claims? Who is verifying this? You're saying that this is Islamic Sunni tradition. Which scholar? Which Sunni scholar says this? Name one, bro. I'm about to go crazy. Name one, and I will concede this whole debate. You can't, because the books have been corrupted. Every Muslim scholar says the previous scriptures have been corrupted. The Quran's reason for coming down for humanity is because the previous books have been corrupted.
I'm like, I gotta be patient here. Name one scholar. We need a meme of that. The name one scholar meme. That's half of this debate. 75% of this debate is name one scholar.
Please wake up. Wake up. Realize that no scholar supports your position. No Islamic scholar supports what you just said, and all the Islamic scholars are on my side. So please stop trying to make me seem like I'm outside of my religion.
I'm wearing the same glasses, by the way.
You didn't engage my argument. You didn't engage my argument.
All he's saying is name one scholar. The thing is, he's like, what he's doing is called an ad populum argument. He's saying a bunch of people believe in something, thus it is true. So if a bunch of people believe something is true, that means that's what the theology is. And here, I'm going to showcase this in another way. So a bunch of people who call themselves Christians believed in enslaving human beings, right? And they did this. They practiced this. They believed this was a Christian belief. Well, guess what? They were all wrong. All those people who believed in enslavement are wrong. That isn't what the theology says. And they distorted the text to fit their narrative. They wanted to enslave and abuse other human beings, and they distorted the text to fit their agenda. They were all wrong. All the people who believe in enslaving human beings, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it right here, they're wrong. Enslaving people is wrong. Anyone who does it is wrong. It's just not right. It's a wrong thing, you know?
What you're doing is you're filibustering.
I told you,
no, you didn't.
List one scholar. You couldn't even do that. Let's move on. Let's move on.
This is a filibuster.
This is about when we go into the Q&A. We did talk about closings, though. So if you guys would like, you guys still have a chance to draw together the threads from this debate.
Oh, I think we may have seen this, but it's good we're re-reviewing this again. But yes, this is amazing. We're getting more commentary on this.
I'll just quote. Oh, what's that? What are we doing? Conclusions?
My closing is name one scholar. That's it.
This is Ibn Kathir on Surah 3, verse 78, commenting on who distort the book with their tongues, says means they alter them, Allah's words, with their tongues. And he continues, Al-Bukhari reported that Ibn Abbas said that the ayah means they alter and add, although none among Allah's creation can remove the words of Allah from his books. They alter and distort the apparent meanings. No one can remove any words of Allah's books. They alter and distort the apparent meanings.
That doesn't prove that the current Torah and Gospel are perfectly preserved. Ibn Kathir does not say that they are perfectly preserved. So I don't know what you're trying to prove right now.
Yeah, he's quoting Bukhari reporting from Ibn Abbas that the ayah means they alter and add, though none among Allah's creation can remove the words of Allah from his books. They alter and distort their apparent meanings through adding things when they're describing him, just like you did when you'd say, oh yeah, he's confirming parts. Well, he doesn't say parts. He says the opposite. He says if you only believe in parts, he'll send you to hell. And so you're doing exactly.
This is meant to be closing.
Nice. Thank you for affirming. Let's give him here. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna put you on mute because I'm closing. So that was the intention.
Okay, how long do we have? Was it 5 minutes total or 10 minutes total?
Since that was approximately dialogue, we can do 5-minute closings for each team.
Who's going first? Can we go first?
Same order with the opening. So we'll have David and Issa go first, and then you guys, Junior and Rain, will have the last word.
Issa, you want to say whatever you want to say, and then I'll use whatever's left of the 5 minutes.
I was trying to get the audio.
Issa?
Sometimes
I mean, that's fine if you like.
Oh, his video's
am I
frozen.
glitching? I don't.
Yeah, your video's frozen. I think you're okay now.
All right.
Oh no, you're frozen.
Am I okay? Sorry.
You're glitching, but we can hear you fine. We can hear you fine.
Ready for you.
All right. Okay, so we made an argument. The point is the Quran affirms these texts. What we've heard from the opposition is, name scholars, name, facts off the top of the head. None of our arguments have been disproved.
Oh man, I love this. I actually had just taken I did a legal studies minor, so I actually had to do this. I'm pretty good at being a lawyer. I know how to do this pretty well. I was like, I'm gonna go into lawyer mode. I was like, I'm gonna do my opening case as a lawyer, and I'm gonna do my closing case as a lawyer. I said, yes, this is fun. I was having a great time with this. I wonder what the chat was saying. But we can look at that later at some point.
Just saying, and also what we've heard is ad populum arguments. These are logical fallacies, red herrings, straw men. We haven't actually heard concrete.
Junior, this is meant to be.
No, it wasn't Junior. That was me. I'm just pointing out the complete lack of listening on his behalf. But no, I understand his closing statement.
So basically, I need you to not talk when they're talking because it's closing statements. They won't, and then now they'll do the same for you.
I love this. I actually met Rain before this debate, and what Rain was saying was that he was a professional debater. So I thought this was quite interesting that he did this during the debate. He said he's like won championships and stuff. I was like, oh wow, this is quite interesting. From what I recall, he was saying he was really good at this stuff. That's why Junior brought Rain in, is because he was professional as a debater. So, Junior has a whole collective of community and friends because he's a big time influencer. He's a music artist, which I think is quite interesting in the sense that where does music lie in Islam? In a more pluralistic, progressive position that I would offer for understanding Islam, you can have music. In the position that he's offering, I don't know. If there's only one way or it's the highway, well, you got to listen to Hamas. Hamas is telling you what Islam is, so you got to follow Hamas's Islam, And Hamas's Islam does not like music, so, I don't really know. Hamas's Islam doesn't sound like a very pleasant Islam for anyone, really. It doesn't sound pleasant for men. It doesn't sound pleasant for women. It sounds like a really regressive, horrible space to live in, Ikhwanul Muslimun, Hamas, their type of Islam, not really too interested, There's no freedom, they don't believe in what they call free mixing, which means men and women coming together. I'm like, who cares? Like, I don't know. It's like, can you be an adult and grow up? We're in the 21st century. But, he was supporting Hamas, so, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say.
Go to Isa.
We've heard deflections. We have not actually heard any real argument against our position. Our position says it affirms. So if we say that if our opponents are saying that the Torah, the Zabur, and the Injil are corrupted, and saying, well, there's been lots of variants, we actually engaged that argument in our opening. We've engaged all of these points, from the beginning. It's interesting, none of our arguments have actually been challenged. If they are corrupt, it only hurts their position. It does not hurt our position. So, it seems like a kind of a loss on the behalf of what we've heard. The point is, most of the arguments we've said have not really been addressed. That's kind of tragic. The point is, at the end of the day, it has to. This is a part of the creed. Saying that the texts are corrupted is shooting yourself in the foot. It's not a win, it's a loss. Saying that these books are wrong and are false, it's not a win for you. If Allah is true, if Allah does the right, then these texts have to have a continuous lineage. It can't be, hey, Allah messed up multiple times and then Allah did right. That's an insane position. It's preposterous.
Ooh, that's fire, man. That's fire, dude. I love this closing. And it's right off the cuff. I was like, wow. You have to admit, this closing was a fire closing. I was like, if God's real, then how does God mess up over and over and over again to just fit your agenda? Your agenda is that God is a screw-up. Really? Is that what you want to do? You want to do God as a screw-up? Like, really?
No one here should believe that position. It's fallacious, and it's silly and ridiculous. And I will hand it over to my colleague, Dr. Wood.
This is pretty straightforward. Allah says that he revealed previous scriptures. He says that he sent prophets to people all over the world. And the scriptures are supposed to line up with what the Quran says. He gives as his main arguments for Jews and Christians in the Quran that he's affirming our scriptures and that we find prophecies about Muhammad in our scriptures. We look at our scriptures and they don't look the Quran, and so we see a problem here. But it's a problem for the Quran. Allah affirms that he inspired these books. He affirmed that he has preserved these books. In Surah 7, verse 157, it talks about Jews and Christians who find Muhammad written down in the texts that are with us. It says inscribed in the Torah and the gospel that are with them. That's talking about with Jews and Christians. We know what the Torah and the gospel said in the 7th century because we have copies before that. Muhammad says the same thing in Jami at-Tirmidhi 2653. He says the Torah and the gospel are with the Jews and Christians, meaning we have them. In Sunan Abu Dawud 4449, he even tells the Jews to bring him a copy of the Torah, and he points to it and says, I believe in you and in the one he revealed you. Very strange thing to say if that Torah had been corrupted. And so we go to the Quran. We say Surah 5, verse 43, Jews are supposed to judge by the Torah. 547, Christians are supposed to judge by the gospel. 548 says that the Quran was revealed confirming the scriptures that came before it, and as a guardian over them. How is it guarding the previous scriptures? He tells you in the context. When Jews don't want to judge by the Torah, the Quran sends them back to the Torah. If Christians don't want to judge by the gospel, the Quran sends them back to the gospel. That's how the Quran is guarding these previous scriptures. And again, Surah 5, verse 68 says that Jews and Christians have no ground to stand upon unless we stand fast by the Torah, the gospel, and all the revelation that has come to us. If that's Allah, if that's Allah's way of saying our scriptures have been corrupted, we all just have to go with the Quran. That's a huge problem. Again, the Quran says that Allah sends messengers in the language of their people so that people can understand it. How then can the Quran be the revelation for all people when the vast majority of people don't understand Arabic? Whereas if you just get rid of that idea, and what the response is, oh, but you're all supposed to believe in Muhammad. Yes, all people are supposed to believe in all of the prophets. All people, all believers in God are supposed to believe in Moses. Everyone's supposed to believe in Jesus. Everyone's supposed to believe in Muhammad according to the Quran. But we're having a very difficult time believing in Muhammad because Muhammad affirms our scriptures and our scriptures don't line up. And when you put all of this together, what the Quran is saying, all these scriptures are supposed to line up, they don't line up. You got a problem. You can either try to reconcile them, try to harmonize them, and that work, or you can just deny everything the Quran is saying about the previous scriptures, that you can't just believe in parts, you have to believe in all of it, and so on. If you only believe in parts, Allah will send you to hell. These are among the clearest verses in the Quran. So if Allah doesn't mean what he's saying in these dozens of verses where he says he's confirming our scriptures, then he is a terrible communicator, and he specifically says repeatedly that he is not a terrible communicator. He is a very clear communicator.
We'll kick it over to Junior and Rain. I'll set the timer for you as well. The floor is all yours for your closing. And then let me unmute you.
Great. I was good. Look, just a bunch of nonsense from the opposition for their closing statement, just repeating stuff, and they're not even listening to what I'm saying. You know, Islamic.
That's beautiful. Just a bunch of nonsense. Beautiful. Just a beautiful statement. Just say a bunch of nonsense. Let's not actually engage the points.
Scholarly perspectives, you know, say that the Torah and Injil contain remnants of truth, confirmed by the Quran in chapter 5, verse 48. Sure. But it also says they have undergone human tampering, chapter 2, verse 79. So they become less affirmed. The Quran renders those things as less affirmed. Now, because we see the sequence, we can say the Quran is the final uncorrupted revelation, and it serves as the ultimate criterion proven by its textual invariance across 1400 years, where the Bible's history reveals flux and restoration efforts. Thus, for seekers of unadulterated divine guidance, the Quran alone endures as the perfectly preserved word of God. Now, you guys memorize the Lord's Prayer, you know. What percentage of Christians have the Lord's Prayer memorized? It's the same percentage of Muslims who have 10 plus chapters of the Quran memorized. Majority of Muslims, whether they speak Arabic or not, can memorize the Quran simply through listening to it, like a song, like a hymn, like the Lord's Prayer. If you repeat it over time, the language that it's in doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. Now, tonight, you may have seen me about emotional, because I love the Quran, I love the Prophet, I love God. I want to see everyone go to heaven. I want the truth to shine. But tonight is not about emotion. It's about preservation, authority, and consistency. The Quran does not deny that God revealed scripture before it. It affirms the original Torah and the original gospel. What does not affirm is that every manuscript, translation, and canon decision made by centuries later it affirms that they're not.
That's just a claim. There's no evidence.
Identical to the original revelation. So the historical record shows the Bible exists in multiple textual traditions, no original manuscripts, canon debates, and documented variants. This is not an insult. This is academic reality. In Ethiopia, the book of Enoch is in the Bible, but you guys removed the book of Enoch, which talks about heaven and hell, which talks about the Nephilim, which talks about all these things that you guys do not believe in, because now it's not in the Bible. Just like you don't believe in the age of Mary being 12 because it's not in the Bible, or you don't believe that the age of Rebecca is 3 because it's not in the Bible. So you don't believe in the book of Enoch, but in Ethiopia, the Christians believe in Enoch because it's in the Bible over there. The Quran was revealed to one prophet in one lifetime, memorized immediately by a community, written in one generation. Mass transmission system with documented change. That's why to step out, the next person steps out and knows exactly what he has to say. If the sheikh makes a mistake, the people in the audience correct him. Even if it's one word, we correct him. Its core text has remained stable across 14 centuries. This is why the Quran is supreme. This is why I urge everyone to read the Quran. Abrogation is not contradiction. Progressive legislation exists in both traditions. The real question is not whether law can change. The real question is which revelation is final and preserved. The Quran clearly states it is the criterion, al-Furqan. A criterion does not need validation from, what it judges. It confirms the original revelation and corrects what deviated from it. So if God intended to send a final message for all humanity, we would expect clarity, preservation, consistency, and authority. That is the claim of the Quran, and that is the standard it has met. Today, I've proven my position. I'm very confident. Thank you very much, Modern Day Debate. Even though the audience was looking for something that David Wood and Isa could say that they could agree with, I hope to God that people start to find the Quran, pick it up, read it, own it, because that is the only way you guys are going to find the truth, not by following people like David Wood, because David Wood only does things for profit. He only does things like defending the Jews. He does it. Why? Even though he believes that Jews are...
Oh my God, you see my face here. It's like, why do you have to keep attacking Jews? Like, it's so disgusting. What did Jews do to you, man? Yes, there's a conflict that's going on in the Middle East. But God, it's like every moment. You know what? I've never seen Jewish people on the same wavelength as this. Ever. I've never seen this happen before. And it's like everything's coming out. It's not about Zionists. You don't like Jews, man. And it's just like really gross, dude. There's a lot of interfaith places where Muslims and Jews work together, and there's peace with Jews and Muslims, but this guy doesn't want peace with Jews. He hates Jews. And he's saying it over and over. He's very open. He's like, I hate Jews. And it's like, golly, man. It's very hard to work with this kind of person who just hates Jews. Like every moment he can, he's like, I hate Jews. Oh, I don't know. It's painful to hear it.
Going to hell. Why does he defend them? Ask him that question. Ask him, why do you defend the Jews? How much do they pay you? Do they pay you $7,000? Does Netanyahu, does Israel pay David? That's the real question. But I don't think we have anything to discuss. Let's just go to Q&A.
You do have 40 seconds left if Rain did have anything.
Yeah, I wrote a.
We're going to do the final closing, and then we'll stop for it. We'll take a break because I'm a little tired. But yes, we might continue again, but we probably will do another episode today. Just let's take a little break after this closing.
His intro at the beginning, which is he did a phenomenal job with, so thank you.
He did a phenomenal job? In what universe?
No, I just want to say to both Isa and David, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the time. Obviously, we're going to disagree. This is a debate. I apologize for me speaking out of turn. I think that was quite rude and that wasn't very very, very respectful of me. So I do want to sincerely apologize to both of you. That was past my due diligence, right? Yeah, just I appreciate the time, appreciate the conversation. I kind of just kept quiet and let Junior sort of lead. Again, this is my first time hopping on one of these, so I have much to learn, and I don't want to speak out of place too often. And obviously, I think you guys raised a lot of very solid points, most of which I disagreed with, but I think there was some accuracy to certain statements made, and hopefully you guys could see some in ours as well, right? At the end of the day, everybody has a position.
Correct.
Everybody's going to defend said position, and that's the name of the game, right? Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
We will kick it into the Q&A. Folks, thanks so much for your questions. Want to let you know, we are going to read serious questions. We don't want it to just be insults. We do want substantive questions. So if it does...
All right, we're going to stop right now. This was intense, but thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.